So you're building a React Native app. There's your image and a text in a flex row layout. Looks good so far, until you add more text. That doesn't look nice, doesn't it? You expect the text to wrap right around here. It can be frustrating, but let's see how we can fix it. Here's the code for the page, and this is the view with that flex row layout. Let's just give it a background color of yellow and a margin. Now it's a bit clearer that the text is overflowing the view. Now look carefully at the text. I'm going to get rid of this icon here. Did you see what happened? The text shape stays the same. Apparently, this text takes the full width of the view container, regardless if the view has other children like the icon. Let's bring it back. And you can see that the text shape is still the same, it's just shifted to the right. Let's do another example. I'm going to get rid of this icon here and duplicate this text. The view now has two texts as children, but the second text is pushed fully off the view to the right by the first text. We expect these two to share the space in half, right? But that's not the case. Let's bring it back. If you come from a web background, you can obviously see that the default behaviors are different. But here we have to keep in mind that a text is not a paragraph, and the styling in React Native is not CSS. Speaking of the web, I have another example, trying to be as close as possible to the React Native app. We have the div here as the flex row container with an image and a text side by side. Let's give it a background color and a margin. And here the text is not overflowing the container, right? Different behavior. Now I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try to reproduce the behavior in React Native. In order to do that, for this text, we need to set the flex shrink property to 0. Now this makes the text fully overflow. Now we want this text width to have the same width as its parent container, right? And to do that, we set the width to 100%. And there we go. This is more or less the same behavior as in React Native. The text of this width is the same as the width of its container. So how do we get the text to wrap properly? Well, we can undo what we just did, but a simpler solution would be to change the flex shrink property. Currently, it's at 0, which means that we don't allow this text to shrink to fit the available space. Hence, it's taking the full width of the container. If we change this to 1, then we do let it fit to the available space, and here is the behavior that we want. So it's simply changing one flex shrink property here. Let's try that in our React Native app. So for this text component, we're going to set the flex shrink to 1. And voila, there you have it. The text is wrapping inside the view container as we want it to. Now you might be thinking, does this mean that I have to always set this flex shrink to 1 on my text components? Well, not necessarily, only if you often meet this situation. But normally in a React Native app, you have your own custom text component, which wraps this text component, and which you can use to implement your design system and styling. Now, inside that component, you can set the flex shrink to 1 once and not have to worry about it again. So like it or not, for some reason, this is the default behavior of the text component in React Native. There's probably other solutions out there, but I think changing this flex shrink property is the easiest. Hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.